To accept charges, press 1. To refuse charges, press 2. If you would like to thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
I don't consent to recording this call. Is there anything I need to know?
Mike, there is a lot of things we need to talk about. There is a lot of developments. I hope we can stay on the phone for as long as you possibly can. And I need to talk with you about some things. Is there anything you want to talk to me first?
I don't know if I got hit with something last night or what, but I don't get headaches. Last night, my head was about to come apart. I don't know.
Okay.
I know that directed energy weapons are there. I don't know, but
okay.
Go ahead.
All right, Mike. You and I gotta have a talk. There's been a lot that's been going on. Okay. Bradley Warner has decided to attack me publicly, and it's an all-out huge public disagreement now. I gave the man multiple requests to call me and let's discuss his concerns, and he refused to call me. I told him to write you a letter. I don't know if he has or he has not. I suspect he has not. And he's calling me out publicly on Facebook, saying that everything I'm doing for you is counterproductive. He wants my Facebook page taken down, and I wrote him a letter back.
What is his basis?
All of this is going to you. There's 2 letters mailed to you yesterday, and there's 3 letters that are coming to you today. So you'll see exactly what he sent to me, Dorothy, and 2 other gentlemen. I don't never heard of them before. But here's the deal. There's so much things that we need to discuss. Okay. He basically says that I'm gaslighting you and that my videos that we put up where you ask for help with action items are causing him problems and it's causing more pressure to be put on you, and you're not, it's being counterproductive to you. But before you respond to that, let me say, he has a Facebook page. My wife found an 11-month-old video where Bradley Warner is calling Internal Affairs, and he's referring to his FBI handler in a female. Her name is FBI Special Agent Bang. I've always suspected that Bradley Warner is an FBI agent, but now I know it. Now I know this is a lot of information for you to digest right now because you got a headache last night, and I'm just laying some very heavy stuff on you. I made a video and I called out that publicly because he's attacked me publicly. He's threatening to take down all of my social media. So this is a big thing, right? Let me say this. And I'm going to send you everything I have. There's 3 letters going out today, and there's 2 letters going out yesterday. But here's some things that I would like, if you don't mind, Mike, I want to share with you, and I would like for you to respond. And if you don't mind, at the end of this, you can tell me whether you agree or not. But I kind of need this to go public to protect myself from the accusations coming from Bradley. And so at the beginning of the call, you say, I don't consent to the recording of my calls, and yet we've had a long-standing agreement for about 1.5 years that on certain calls where it's obvious, where you say things like, if anybody listening can help with this, that I make a judgment call to put that out publicly, and I realize there is a difference between private calls and public calls, but there are some calls that where action items need to be done, and I'm hoping that there'll be somebody out there that is with your approval, and that I'm not doing anything that goes against your wishes, and I would hope,
No, the recording restriction is for anybody other than you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You and I are having a phone conversation. You can record it all day long. Nobody else has my authority to record my conversations with you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I need that to be clear because, Bradley has a lot of troll friends and they're trying to paint me in a particular narrative. I already told you that Bradley is threatening to take down all of my social media, but let me move on. You are aware that I am not the action item man, that I do my best on a best effort basis, but Bradley is saying that I'm refusing to do what you have directed me to do. He's accusing me.
No, I ask, and I understand that yours is a situation where it's basically a sounding board for people locked up because they otherwise don't have a voice. I hope that others that are supposedly out there helping or trying to help me would take these items and run with them. That's all it's for. Whether Bradley chooses to do these, I don't know. I've gotten no response from him since I've been gone from. I haven't spoken.
Let me say, Mike, I'm very sensitive to the fact that what I'm telling you is very heavy because I know that.
And let me say, I'm grateful that he got my legal material. I'm grateful that Virginia got my legal stuff and filed it for me. they have helped me. My phone calls and so forth. But if the guy's working for the FBI, then he's on the wrong team. All I can say is that
if we have enough time, Mike, I would like to play for you the video, but sometimes when I play YouTube videos, the prison will think that we're doing third-party phone calls, and I don't want to get you in more trouble, so you'll have to make the call at the end once if we have time and you do want to hear that. I would like for you to hear it with your own ears, because I don't want you to have to take my word for it. I realize it's if somebody came up to me and told me that somebody that was my friend is working for the FBI, I would need proof. I don't want you just to take my word for it, Mike, and I understand this is a heavy thing to lay on you this morning.
You're a man of integrity. I don't discount anything that you're telling me.
I appreciate that, Mike. I really do. Okay, the other thing is, Mike, when you call me, and if I believe, based on the content of the call, that you want something to go out publicly, my position as a prison ministry is, come hell or high water, your voice is going to go out with what you want said publicly, even if I disagree with it. It's like, even if I don't understand it, if I don't agree with it, it's like, Mike wanted this to go out publicly. He's in prison. It's going to go out. And when I told Bradley, because he's demanding I take all your videos down, he's demanding I take, he's going to call Facebook. And so I said, Bradley, if you really think that my advocacy...
That's not his call.
Yeah.
That's not his call.
Yeah.
And he's not in charge here, okay? Make that clear.
Yeah.
I'm in charge of Mike Parsons.
Amen.
I am not represented by anybody. He nor nobody else represents me. He basically initially told me he was going to try to work to get recognition of the Chilcote Nation and my status as an ambassador through his contacts and so forth that he had. But that hasn't happened. So, I don't know.
Yeah. And what I told Bradley is, if he really believes that, because I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt and I've bit my tongue. Did you get the 8 maps? Just curious, the 8 colored maps?
No.
That's shocking. They are throwing away your mail. That was mailed early last week. Okay, so the maps were mailed, and they were mailed from the UPS store that has the color printer. So they are holding your mail. There's no doubt about that. Okay, so the other thing is, when it comes to there's accusations that I'm getting paid or I'm doing this with some future expectation.
Maybe if somebody can send me those printouts in just black and white.
Okay.
Maybe they'll give them black and white. It might be a color thing. I don't know.
Okay. I can have them reprint it black and white, because when I do images, it uses I have a little black and white pissant printer and it uses all my toner. So I'll have them resend it black and white. I can do that. It'll just be a few dollars. So, yeah. Also, I resent you the affidavit.
Do I know who down in Florida works at this place or owns this place?
No, I've had this account for a long, long time, Mike, because I have a prison ministry, and they were close to a guy by the name of Kent Hovind, and he was in a Florida prison, and so I would have them printed up because they were close to Florida, but I just kept them, even though our prison ministry has expanded to other people all throughout the country.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And can you address just, and to help me out, Mike, and I appreciate you, I can't tell you enough, can you just state so that people know, am I getting paid, or is there any future expectation that I'm going to get paid from anything that we've ever talked about? And I hate to ask you that, but I'm getting accused, and I need your help to set.
No, you have not gotten a dime from me, because even though I've tried to get the jail to send my account to you, they haven't, which is what we're talking, like $30.
Yeah.
But you've spent over, I'm sure, a couple $100 on phone calls since I've been here. But the point being is that you haven't asked for anything, and there's no agreement for anything, but I have every intention of repaying you as soon as I can. And if possible, if I'm able to represume my efforts as the ambassador of the Chilcote Nation and develop their raw materials and get them going where everybody can obviously get paid for efforts in that direction. You've had a tremendous input into my torture while I've been locked up in these private for-profit jails to the public. From being punched in the mouth after being strapped to a chair by a U.S. Marshal, people that we perceive were the good guys are actually, they're not. They're very evil, tyrannical people that are destroying innocent people. My wife is sitting in a federal prison. My wife is Ellie Mae. We love our animals. we don't hurt anybody. Other than defending myself, and that's the thing. They don't want people to know that I'm defending myself. When these guys shot at us 29 times, that part's not supposed to be known. The fact they shot at me and my wife and shot and killed my dog, that's not. They don't want to know about that. They only want to know, well, you told the guy to stop shooting, put his gun down, and then they misspeak all the rest of it. I never put a gun to anybody's head. That's some cockamamie story that a judge put in the record to make sure that an appellate court would, deem me unfit to have the case retried. It's all a corruption racket to keep the prisons full. But no, you've not asked for anything. There's been no agreement. But I hope, it's my hope that when I get this timber deal finished, that funds can be allocated to support your ministry in a significant way, simply because it's worthy.
Well, Mike, I love you as a brother, and I pray you get out of there, and I pray you're successful with your, ambassadorship to the Chilcote Nation. But my driving motivation is not that someday you're going to pay me, and I hope you know that. I want to do this because it's the right thing to do, and I generally, sincerely, authentically feel you've been railroaded, and I want people to know about your case. And I understand you're a man of honor and integrity, and I look forward to the day that we can have a steak dinner with you outside of prison, and we can get past all this nonsense. One other quick thing, Mike, is I told Bradley that if he feels so strongly that, and I've estimated over the past year and a half that we've uploaded 900 videos on you and Mrs. Parsons, and if he feels so strongly that those videos which were put out to raise awareness about your case, your injustice, the fact they tied you up in a chair and punched you, and they're withholding your mail, they're trashing your mail, that they put a long strip of clothing in a jail that was known for a wrongful suicide, which the family does not believe it was suicide. All of those videos that we've done over the past year and a half, if Bradley felt so strongly they were working against you and counterproductive to your case, which, by the way, is the exact same position that Frater takes, that all he had to do is write you a letter and convince you of that, and all you had to do is tell me, hey, Rudy, I want you to take all those videos down because they're hurting my cause, and I want you to take my webpage down that you put up on Year of Jubilee. And Mike, guess what? I respect you, and I would do exactly as you said. And I would want to follow your desires because I respect your wishes. But instead, Bradley has decided to attack me.
Do you have my email address?
I don't know. You mean in prison?
Okay. No.
Oh.
No. My website, MikeParsons.org, the email address is mphi@msn.com. If you have the ability, I know that working with this website that I've got is a pain, so I'm not going to ask. But if you have the ability to do a mass cut and paste.
Oh, Mike, let me interrupt you. I have gone to I have saved a lot of your website already to the computer. But when I was talking about your website, I really wasn't talking about MikeParsons.org, which I know is your main website. I was really talking about the webpage that we have on Year of Jubilee that I think I've sent you screen captures, but I never know if they let you have the mail that I'm at. I was really talking about the Year of Jubilee side.
Now, what I was going to say, if you can email me that stuff so that it's, even if for some reason they take down your website, I'll still have it in the email inbox so that when I get out, I can pull it up and I can revive it.
Yeah,
I
amen.
don't know if that's possible.
I'll do the best that I can. I think Chrome, the browser Chrome, allows you to hit Control-P and save web pages as PDF files. So I can bring up your homepage. I hit Control-P, say this is Mike's homepage. I go to other pages and I can do the same thing. So I'll do the best that I can as I get time. Absolutely.
My email is not the web page.
You have 1 minute left.
mphi@msn.com.
Yep, I got it. If you do have time to call back, Mike, I can play you the audio if you think it won't get you in trouble, me playing a YouTube video of him talking to Internal Affairs.
And let me say this. I don't know what Bradley's doing or not doing. I just know that when he was locked up in jail in the room beside me, he showed interest in helping expose and overturn the abuses that's going on to the Native American children that are being prostituted and sent out to foster families as sex slaves. And he wanted to help get me freed out of the jail and the prison system. To that end, he did advise that he did used to work for the Defense Department and very various capacities, as he said, and he had a handler, quote unquote, but nothing about the FBI. And
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
Okay, well, it cut Mike off at the 15-minute mark. If he calls back, we'll add that, and we'll go from there.
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from an inmate at the county jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. To accept charges, press 1. To refuse charges, press 2. Thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
I don't consent to recording of this call. Let me finish. I was saying I don't know who his handler is, and I don't know what their motivation is. I do believe that Bradley and his wife have genuine interest in helping me be free. I do believe that. I believe that he's doing what he can when he can. I understand he lost his house in a fire, and so therefore he's struggling. I don't know what their status is now, but I don't think that he was a plant. Is it possible that he could have been somehow manipulated? The FBI is masters of manipulation. They're all professional liars. They all come from the Lawyers Guild for the most part. So anything's possible. I do respect him. I think that there's a possibility in this case that he has a different perspective than I and you, and that's fine. But because I don't know what his perspective is, he hasn't shared it with me. I don't blindly trust anybody. Make that a bullet point, note it, brand it, whatever. I don't follow anybody. If you're going to ask me to do something and you're not going to tell me why, it probably won't get done. If it's something that I don't know to be, it's like on the audio recordings, when Sue's talking about doing something and won't tell me what it is or allude to it, I said, don't do anything. If you can't tell me what it is, don't do it. Okay, so, the thing is that I'm in a situation where I know that these phone calls are being recorded and the other side is desperately seeking ways to try to manipulate this situation because they're criminals. The whole thing is that we're dealing with a rogue operation. The country's been hijacked. You're no longer the sovereign American people. You're now subject citizen slaves. And they're trying to get on this census thing where you have to admit that you're a slave. And if you don't, they're going to browbeat you. But a lot of people are saying, well, wait a minute. We got a lot of libertarians out there and people that know this scam, that it's a corporation posing as government. They're not going to say they're citizens. And all of a sudden, do we really want to ask these people to expose themselves? One side say, yeah, let's expose them so we can round them up and put them all in gulags. And the other side saying, wait a minute. With billions of them out there that might overwhelm the millions of us, do we really want to do that? See, Trump said he was going to drain the swamp. Well, the deep state is still deep. Okay, there's no shallow water out there now. I'm sitting in a jail looking at 10 years in prison. Beyond this, no doubt there is no shallow end of the pool. This is deep stuff. But if you want your country back, you got to stand up and say, I'm in charge, you SOBs. I didn't give you the right to my life. Get off my back, or we're going to war. Whatever capacity you can achieve, whether it be, in the Tennessee Constitution, the Constitution, Article 1, Section 1 clearly says the power is with the people. The people have the right to alter or abolish the government by any means they see fit. That's what they mean. The people are in charge. This bureaucracy of these agencies, I got a friggin' judge telling me that he can give the power of the policy of some goofy U.S. Marshal Service who's got a contract with a private air carrier, JPAT, to force me to take a TB test, which is against my religion. He has the power to create a law by his, what's the term, they use it in equity courts. It has to do like in a divorce decree. He can't decree. Well, he's telling me right then what he's doing is equity law. Okay, under equity equity law, you have to have a contract. I got no contract with JPAS, with the U.S. Marshal Service, with the United States government. If anybody says I got a contract, I dispute it. I say it's a fraud. It was done without my consent, and I don't recognize it. So therefore, that defeats that presumption right then. But this judge will not have a hearing with me in front to argue that, because he will not let the U.S. Marshal argue their own cases. He argues for them, just like Swart argued for the prosecutor when she did all the research. They're looking at old 20 and 25-year-old cases. They're not looking at right now. You can tell if somebody's got TB by a saliva analysis and or a breathalyzer. You don't need to, they said, well, the x-rays are non-invasive. They're out of their friggin' mind. They're morons. They don't know jack about radiation. The fact is, I had so much radiation exposure when I worked at FedEx as a ramp agent and special hazardous materials agent that when I got my film badge in one year, they said, you don't need to do any more hot flights, ever. You don't need any more x-rays. Ever. You've got a lifetime's worth of radiation, so stop. I haven't had an x-ray since 1990.
Wow. Praise God.
So, look, mine is God's medicine, naturopathic. I don't do allopathic. I won't take it. My head's splitting last night. I'm 2 a.m. I'm up there trying to work on. They get me up at 2 a.m. knowing this is going to be the guy's just. I'm up all night. I have to be standing at the door for them to come get me. If I'm not up and of course during the day, every 2 hours they awaken me to come get up and do something. So I can't get a straight 8 hours of sleep. And tell Mrs. P, I love her. It's been a great ride. And I will see her at the bridge with Rusty and Pilot and Caliber. So
yeah.
I hope the insurance pays off everything. But I'm malnutrition and I'm not well. And Dr. Fraser, if he can come visit me, he's here in Memphis. Area code 901-683-8200. If he will come visit me, perhaps he can intervene on my behalf before it's too late. But I am desperately in need of magnesium, potassium, and iodine. My tank is empty.
Hey, Mike, I hate to ask, but can you say that number one more time, sir?
901-683-8200. Dr. Fraser.
Fraser, okay. Mike, I think it's tragic what's happening to you and others across this country, and I really do pray that God Almighty uses your case as an example and get you out of prison, and the evildoers are held accountable. I pray for that every day, Mike, and I will. If I can just offer this to anybody listening, anybody that thinks that any activity that is hurting you, counterproductive to you, is not good for you, I encourage those people that consider themselves your friends and care about your well-being and care about your freedom and your livelihood, Mike, I encourage them to write you a letter, call me, and let's have a discussion like men rather than snipe from the bushes and throw grenades into this situation when they don't have any knowledge of what's really going on. And I really think it's tragic, Mike, and I pray to God Almighty that He restores your full health, and that our ears will hear and our eyes will see justice for the wicked bastards who did this to you and your wife.
Well, thus far, the only person I think that's got it was the 30-year NSA agent who's had their epiphany, who said in there as much that they said Mike did nothing wrong. This is not a consequence of his actions. And see, that's the thing. Everybody's wanting to say, well, he had to have done something. No, my friend, I've done nothing other than call the cops and say, hey, a guy shot and killed my dog and shot in the direction of my wife, and I want the guy arrested, and they didn't show up. So what do? I go confront the guy. I said, look, I just want my dog back. I want to bury her. I don't want you shooting around my wife. If my dog's alive, I want to take her to the vet. Where's she at? Well, he wouldn't answer the question. So I ended up suing the guy, and the judge covered up. And he's one of the good old boys. And then they came and unlocked our gate and let some more of our wolves and hybrids out and shot and killed one of them at 6 feet away with a 7mm rifle, an 80-pound wolf hybrid, which is about the size of a 5'3" tall woman, and blew my baby in half
Mm.
in front of me, and then attacked me, and I punched a guy in the nose to defend myself. And the grand jury, they tried to charge me with aggravated assault. They wouldn't charge him with anything.
Wow.
And the grand jury said, this is insane, not true, Bill. But yet these judges still use that, illegally use that and say, well, he broke his neighbor's nose. Okay, yeah, that's true. I punched him and hit him with everything I had, knocked his 250-pound ass off the back of that four-wheeler, and he did a backflip. I broke his nose. It was sticking out sideways. But he deserved it. And I do it again. But the fact is that I've got a right to defend myself. Everyone has a right, inherent right to defend themselves and their family.
Mike, I want to share with you a thought came to me a few days ago, and it's amazing that we're talking about when they blew your dog, your baby, apart right in front of you. A canine unit pulled up beside me on the road, and I recall all these images on YouTube and the television where these officers treat these German Shepherds as if they're a fellow officer. They almost give them like full-blown police funerals. They treat them as if they are a comrade in arms, and yet when they come to our house and they kill our dogs, they kill our animals, our pets, they don't seem to have a problem with it. It's like a double standard completely, because I can relate to the fact that you loved your dog. I loved my dog, you know.
On one of the audios, I listened to Sheriff Kapperman tell Mr. Reverka, who's totally innocent, exactly that. He says, well, I've got thousands of brothers and sisters in black, blue, and brown. Do you really want to come up against us? Well, my friends in black, blue, and brown, you're forgetting about the rest of we, the millions and millions of people out here that want you to get the heck off our backs. We didn't hire you to be our overseers. We hired you to help us do that which we have the rights to do, which is provide for our families and defend ourselves, not to take away our rights. You need to get that in your skulls, because what you're doing, you're terrorist against we the people, and you got to go.
Amen.
Now, if you want a job doing the same stuff, I'm sure you can go to some other third world banana republic that the CIA's already destroyed and go after them. But leave us the hell alone. As for me and my family, we'll serve the Lord and we'll stand as free people, and we'll die as free people, but we will not be your slaves.
Man, I can't agree with you more. That's powerful words of wisdom and courage and liberty right there, Mike. I totally agree with what you just said.
Well, I don't know what else to say. I mean, this whole system is totally corrupted, and I know that there's good people within the system, but it's like a 30-year NSA agent said, and I'm going to try to send you a copy of that. Hopefully you can get it. You can post it. People need to read that. My mother needs to get a copy of that, as well as everybody else that knows me. Pat's employer needs to get a copy of that, as well as a copy of that page where the federal probation officer says, well, no, actually, the U.S. attorney admitted there never was a plot to kidnap a sheriff or a judge. That was a ruse, and Mr. Parsons never had anything to do with that, so the initial underlying warrant to search the plane based on the concept that he's part of a plot to kidnap these people, and we think there's the fruits of that effort. That's our basis for getting this warrant. Well, no, he never was part of any plot. So but that means that the search warrant was bogus, and obviously, and the thing is, I don't know if the millions and millions. Do you have an AR-15 style rifle by chance?
You bet I do, Mike. You bet I do.
Okay. If he figures in a pile with the rest of the millions of AR-15s, it would be hard to pick it out unless you had something extremely unique about it. And when they sit there and show me a rifle in court and say, well, look at the serial number, I'm thinking, dude, do you own any guns? Do you really remember the serial numbers? I don't.
No, I have no idea. Idea.
Being in the South, I'm a basic Southern guy. I've had dozens of guns in my life. I can't tell you the serial number. I've owned dozens of cars. I can't tell you the serial numbers. You know,
we have a saying down here, Mike. What do you call a neighbor? What do you call a neighbor with 50 guns? And our friends say a good neighbor. That's a good neighbor there.
Good neighbor.
Yeah.
Right. He's prepared. He's able to take care of himself, and probably me too, if need be, at the moment's notice. But Amen. I want to be able to take care of myself. I don't want my neighbor to have to take care of me. I want everybody to be equal in that regard. That's
Amen.
why in my ministry I teach people to be independent independent, self-sufficient.
You have 1 minute left.
That unfortunately goes against their business because they don't want you to be independent, self-sufficient, self-governing. They want you to be slaves that are dependent upon them. And that's not acceptable in a free society in my world in America today. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nazis go home.
Amen to that.
Socialist, there's other countries you can go to get out of mine.
Yeah. It is a war. It is a war, and you are a prisoner of war. I'm going to call the UPS store, have them print it in black and white, and resend it, Mike. I don't know how long it'll take to get to you. You got 5 letters coming to you from yesterday and today. I hope they let it through the mailroom.
Well, God bless you, Rudy, and God bless those that are helping you in your ministry and standing with us, because the truth needs to be told, and this needs to be exposed, and we need to take back our country. I mean, I should have, put up 50-some-odd years worth of work just to have it all stolen from me, as well as my wife, just because of some moron wants to.
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
That's Mike Parsons. He's an American political prisoner. He was targeted because of his political beliefs. He's got a website at mikeparsons.org. We also have a page for him and his wife at Year of Jubilee, Jubilee spelled with 1 E, and it's /MikePatSue. MikePatsue. If you think that what we're doing for Mike is not good for Mike, I suggest you write Mike a letter and you speak to Mike directly rather than throwing grenades into this situation when you don't have any knowledge of the details of what's going on.
Parsons,
Tipton
County.
The prepaid collect call from an inmate at the county jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. To accept charges, press 1. To refuse charges, press 2. Thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
I don't consent to the recording of this call. I'll let you take it from here. It's your dime, so...
No, I appreciate it, Mike, and I do want you to know that we sincerely care. I think what's happened to you, you are an American political prisoner. You're a prisoner of war for your beliefs, and that they are doing this to you, and they entrapped your wife, which I don't know of a more egregious case of entrapment besides what they've done to your wife, and I'm aware of a lot of entrapment cases, don't get me wrong, but when they went after Mrs. P, like I've said before, they have to really turn up the fires of hell to hold those people, and I look forward to the day when God rains down justice like a mighty river on these people that they are at war with us. They are targeting you for your political freedom, and I just want to help get that story out. Now, I realize, and I even tell new prisoners that come on board, Mike, I write them a long letter. It's an introduction letter. And I say, if you decide to call us, and if you decide your voice to go out, there have been prisoners that have been murdered, right, that have called me and have sent me legal material. One of them is Robert David Neal in Terre Haute, Indiana. There's a secret prison called a CMU prison. He had a lawsuit against the BOP director, Charles E. Samuels Jr. In November of 2018, he called me up and he said he had previously been beaten and hospitalized as retaliation for his legal efforts against the BOP director, Charles E. Samuels Jr. And then after that phone call, he's found beheaded by Muslims of that prison. Of course, the warden isn't going to go behead him personally, but I have said in a very public way, and I even have letters from other prisoners in that prison that there's no way he could have been murdered without the consent and approval of the officials. You were at a jail where Justin Thau was found suicided, and his family, I have spoken to his, I believe, cousin, if I recall correctly, and she said the family does not believe that Justin Thau would have committed suicide in that jail because he was very close to getting out, and he was not that sort of mentality. We are in a war. You're a prisoner of war, and we're trying to get the truth out, because if we just stay silent, Gulag Archipelago, Alexander Solzhenitsyn told us all, when they come to round up the dissidents, if you make it easy for these people and you just don't say anything, and let's not say anything when they put Mike Parsons in prison. Let's not say anything when they put Pat Parsons in prison, or Russell Landers, or Schaefer Cox, or David Hinkson. If we don't say anything, they just keep doing it, and it gets worse and worse and worse. And so there are people that might have a valid, different point of view that says, well, when you guys speak up, it makes it harder on Mike. They put him in a chair and they wrap him with rope and they punch him in the face because he don't want to get a tetanus shot or whatever, TB shot. So I said, yeah, that's true. I agree. But if Mike is willing to have his voice go out knowing the danger, knowing that it puts him on the radar. I'm not going to censor your voice, man. It's like, come hell or high water, I'm going to get your voice out there, because I don't know, I tell my wife every day, Mike, I said, every phone call is precious, and I may not be able to attend each call with the attention and focus that it deserves, because I get so many phone calls, Mike. But I said, every call is precious, because I don't know what's going to happen next. I don't know if this is the last phone call that you and I are going to have, and they're going to call me back and say, Mike had a heart attack in prison and he's dead now. And so I want every phone call to be used for putting out the truth, for describing what's going on in your mind, and raising awareness about the evilness in our day.
Don Henley wrote a song called Inside Job. It was one of the bumper music songs I played on my radio show. And one of the lyrics is, they'll keep doing it until we all wake up. It's time to wake up, folks.
Amen. All right, Mike, I love you like a brother. If there's ever anything that you want to let me know, please do call. And I've got letters headed to you, and I pray that they let them through the mail room, and I will resend the maps in black and white. The maps are coming from up north, and so they're the ones who provided the maps. I'm just providing the mailing and the collation of them.
I would ask that my Chilcotin family up north to send me letters addressed to me as Ambassador Michael Parsons from the Chilcotin Nation, with the return address showing their address with the Chilcotin, so that people that want to say, well, that's just a fictitious made-up country, then it's like, well, obviously the post office recognizes them, so
yeah.
Maybe
Amen. I think that your Chilcotin family is much more legitimate than any other evil, wicked, son of Belial government that currently exists, because they're not a government of the people at all. And so, when it comes to my opinion about legality or legitimacy, and who should be recognized as sovereign nations, whatever the hell we have right now that calls themselves the American government, they are the most satanic, demonic, illegitimate form of government I never thought I'd grow up in a country like this. And so, I certainly want to give the Chilcotin Nation the benefit of the doubt, and I pray that they do write you a letter and communicate with you directly. And it's my impression, Mike, that they do sincerely care about you and that they want to help you. That's my impression.
Well, I do believe that also, and I believe that working together with the capacities that I have acquired as far as experience in business and management and finance and other areas, putting together a logging deal, a contract that I had on the plane with me, and I had a brand new tablet computer in my luggage, which I've never found out. I don't even know where the plane is, nor my luggage or my property. But in there was a contract for this logging deal, and on the computer and on a thumb drive I had all the software for the accounting, for the employees, for keeping up with inventory, scheduling, the whole bit, everything. This is stuff that I had learned from way back when I was going through management principles with Federal Express, and they grew me from the first week that they hired me. They started grooming me for management, and that's why it was within like 3 months I'm going through ROP, it was ramp operations procedures to be a ramp agent, and then hazardous materials training level 1, level 2, and so forth. Just boom, boom. Within the first year, I probably had maybe 3 or 4 months worth of specific specialized training that they spent a ton of money on. And then certainly I was on one of the hottest flights out there, the LA outbound, with hot meaning high volume and radioactive, because they do a lot of medical procedures out there at the hospitals, and so they get all the radioactive medical devices sent to them. And that was my goal, to be a pilot for FedEx, but obviously with not being able to get a lot of radiation, you can't fly at altitude without getting radiation, so I knew that my health wouldn't handle it for too long if I did that. But we worked for things. We have goals. We tried to achieve things, and my wife and I achieved significantly, not only with buying a farm and building our dream home, or at least getting it halfway there. It's not completed, obviously, seen the photos of it. But the people that we've helped along the way with our wolf hybrids and wolves in the ministry of, giving these autistic kids an animal that would lay there for hours with them and never move and be content to be with that child, and then go run and play and bounce off the trees with the other kids who were doing the same thing. They adopt naturally to the nature of the human. And they're extremely intelligent, and people are just, on the blog a month ago, they said there was something about, rediscovering the true nature of wolves and stuff. It's like, this is what I've been preaching for the last 40 years. Since I was 17, I've had full-blooded wolves, and I've been trying to wake up the people as a child. It's like, I'm all about wanting to know the truth, because my mom's water broke when I'm in the Fraser Baptist Church. I was almost born in a church. My whole family's been in ministry, and so I'm all about wanting to know the truth, because Christ is all about the truth. So if I'm going to walk in the ways of Christ, what around me are things that are not true that people perceive are true? Well, they say that wolves are dangerous to humans. Well, they're actually not. There's never been a case where a wild wolf has ever killed a human. Though that seems like an odd sideline issue I'm bringing up, it's a case in point that people will reject the truth for the appearance. That's why these attorneys make appearances. They never step into the arena. There's no truth about them. They sit on the sidelines and cast aspersions and lies and falsehoods to deceive we the people who are in the arena. The whole system is a fraud. I'm sorry to say this, my fellow Americans. The whole system is a fraud. My life and my wife's life have been destroyed. Only with the grace of God will we come out of this on the other end alive, let alone with any semblance of our past physical. I mean, I was in perfect health, looked like I was in my 30s only 3 years ago, and now I look like I'm 60. I've aged, and people in here tell me that you've aged significantly. And that's why I want Dr. Fraser to come see me, so he can see. I'm emaciated. I look like a skeleton. I'm starving to death. My body is falling apart. My memory's being affected. My ability to write coherently. My ability to write at all. I can write 1 page a day if I'm lucky. When I get off the phone, this energy that you're hearing, it's zapped. And when I get off this phone, I'm going to go lie down, and I will sleep until they call me at noon for a meal tray, which is bird food. And then I will go sleep until 4 for the 1 bologna sandwich. And then I will sleep until 2 a.m. and I will wake up, because that's what I've been programmed to do, is wake up. And of course, I'll be up at 11 o'clock standing there at the door. Every time they come in here, I can hear them buzz the door. Every 30 minutes, they're buzzing the door. So if I'm not standing at the door, they'll say, well, Parsons is asleep. He doesn't want to work on his legal stuff. And I said, no, it's a standing invitation. Get me anytime you will let me go work on my legal stuff. They won't give me a pen. I can't sit in my room and work. I said, if y'all give me a pen, you'll never hear from me. I'll just sit in my room quietly. You'll never hear from me. As long as you'll mail my letters out and pass me food through the pie flap, I don't even have to come out of the room. I'm content to work on fighting for mine and my wife's freedom. But,
in the few minutes that we have left, Mike, the people that don't know about your wife, she was an electrical engineering job for 25 years, even has an electrical engineering degree. I mean, she was a prestigious contributor to society with a professional job, and no history of crime whatsoever. Like you said, you call her Ellie Mae. She loved the animals. And for them to paint her as some sort of terrorist, conspiring to kidnap people, is the most insane thing I've ever heard of in my life.
No, it's wrong. And her company, they it's a Christian group of folks, but they let me down. They were deceived by this liar that lives in Tipton County, whose mother-in-law is politically connected, and they fired her. They didn't even give her a chance to explain what was going on. She was being extorted, and they don't understand that, and they probably wouldn't listen to me if I tried to tell them. But if they saw that email blog thing, and they saw that PSR report where it says, well, no, he actually wasn't involved with any of this. There never was a plot to kidnap anybody. It was lawful court orders to arrest a sheriff and a judge. Those are lawful court orders, meaning they have a right to hire a bounty hunter to arrest the sheriff. Okay, my wife had nothing to do with that, and me, I didn't even know about it. Other than that, there was no gun in the plane.
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
That's Mike Parsons. Him and his wife have been targeted by the federal government and the feds. They will stop at nothing to silence Mike, and they'll stop at nothing to send in informants on missions to take whatever actions they can to silence Mike or this ministry. Please keep Mike in your prayers, and please write Mike an encouraging letter, and please don't forget his wife, who's in an Alabama prison that needs encouraging letters as well. Thank you for your time.